Good evening. I'm Alex Wyatt, City Council President for the Homewood City Council, and just wanted to offer a little bit of a recap of our July 26, 2021 meeting that we just completed. A few items from tonight of significance. First, with regard to board vacancies, we are still trying to get applicants for a Ward 3 vacancy on the Homewood Environmental Commission. So if you are interested in that, please submit your resume to our city clerk, Melody Salter. That will be open until August 23rd at 4:30. So if you're interested, please submit your name. Secondly, tonight we approved a contract with a local cornhole league. That's just a recreational cornhole league to allow them to do some games for their coming season between September and November. We're going to give this a shot through this one season and see how it goes, and we're looking forward to them being out on the plaza in Soho, benefiting our businesses out there. Lastly, and perhaps most significantly, tonight we put our downtown rezoning on the agenda with the amendments that have been made to the document. I want to thank everyone that has been a part of this process over the last few years, but I in particular want to thank everyone that came out to these last public forums that we had, the series of public forums that we had just a couple of months ago. I appreciate everyone's courtesy and respect that they showed when speaking at those. I expect that to continue as we continue to work our way through this process. But I also appreciate the ideas that everyone brought forth and the discussion that we had. I think it was good. I think it was a constructive conversation. And as a result of those comments that we received, we have made some changes to the current draft of the document that incorporate changes that address those items that were brought to our attention. And I'll go over three of them tonight. The first, everyone is obviously from the beginning of this process is rightfully concerned with making sure that 18th Street and that one block, the southern half of that block of 29th Avenue, that those areas are preserved and that they maintain their character and that they look like what they look like now, which is so important to Homewood. What we have done is we've created a historic overlay that goes over those areas that essentially creates a separate district for them. And will essentially keep them as they currently are. That means 2 stories in height, it means no residential of any kind, and it means storefronts. So essentially what's there now. All of that was in the previous plan, it was in a footnote, but we've now created its own little district to make sure everyone understands exactly where that is and what that means. Secondly, there was a concern about hotel rooms and whether another hotel might be able to come to downtown. We have 2 hotels already in downtown that have been great benefit to the community. They are certainly each an asset to downtown, but we, quite frankly, probably have the number of hotel rooms that we need down there. And so any future hotels that would come, there would be a cap on the number of rooms that would essentially limit it to a boutique-style hotel rather than having a third or more big hotel in the area. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we heard a number of comments about the idea of having residential downtown and concerns that came out of having residential downtown. Concerns about parking if you have residential downtown, concerns about traffic if you have residential downtown, and concerns about the effects on schools if you add residential downtown. So the new draft of the document takes that into consideration and has created an additional review for any large development. The way that it works is that even in the old draft, medium intensity was limited to 6 units. In high intensity, you will now also be allowed to have 6 units, but if you get over 6 units, then an additional review will be triggered. And that will require the developer to submit a development plan and everything that goes with it, which means everyone will know what it's going to look like. They'll know what the size is. They'll know where the setbacks are. They'll know what everything is going to be. And the developer would have to be held to that development plan just like they are with any other development plan. But in addition to that, They would also have to specifically address 3 criteria that we were setting out. One is traffic, one is parking, and one is the schools. And what that means is that any developer looking to build a development with more than 6 residential units will have to specifically submit and address those 3 issues, which would include going to the police department, the city engineering department, and or the schools to get information about what the current state of traffic is, the current state of parking, and the current state of the capacity of the schools, and then address how those would be impacted. And if they are not, if the impact is negative, then the BZA, which will have the authority to hear this because it is a zoning issue, the BZA will have the opportunity to deny that if they feel like the criteria has not been met. That process will also require a public hearing where the developer will have to come before the BZA and make a proposal, and everyone that wants to from the public can come and make a comment one way or the other about whether the project is good or not. What this does and how this addresses the concerns that we've heard is the overall concern that we kept hearing was don't allow downtown to simply have residential everywhere, where there's a blanket, yes, it's okay to have residential in any form. And at the same time, we heard don't prohibit residential in downtown. And so what this plan does is it allows the city, through the BZA, to judge each development on its own merit. It allows it to look at the specific development that's done, look at the details of that development, consider those, and consider, again, specifically those 3 criteria that are set forth and the 3 criteria that we have heard the most about, and see how it addresses those and if it can meet those criteria. And if it cannot, then it can be denied by the BZA. So allowing that additional level of review on an individual basis, we believe is a way to address the concerns that we've heard. And so we are now going to publish this draft of the document. It'll be on the website. We have sent the item to the Planning and Development Committee, and that will be heard at some point by the Planning and Development Committee. And we have set a public hearing for August 23rd. And we certainly encourage anyone that's interested to come out to the committee meetings where it's going to be heard, and certainly the public hearing before full council on the 23rd. We look forward to continuing this discussion, talking about this plan as we move towards the 23rd. So if anyone, certainly feel free to reach out to myself or any other of the council members to talk about any questions you have with it, and we look forward to continuing to talk to you about it. Thank you very much, and we will be back in session on August 9th.